So what's my first impression? The first impression is it's really a great camera. Both are great cameras, the Z6 and the Z7. However, is it enough to fight Sony? Is it enough to move people from the Nikon F-mount world and the DSLR to the newest system? So let's talk about the negative aspects. So first of all, and this has been talked widely over the internet in the last days, the camera has only one card slot, which is an XQD card slot. So currently, Sony is the only one providing these XQD cards, and that makes them very expensive. So I also tried to get one for my D850, and I know that about 265 gigabytes are about 500 euro currently, which is really huge and very expensive for an XQD card. The D850 has an XQD card slot as well, but it also has an SD card slot, which makes life very easy if you have already good SD cards, and I have a lot of them. So I use the D850 with the SD card slot only at the moment. So now let's talk a little bit about the lenses, which is of course very important. As mentioned, the lenses have the new Z mount. All the interesting lenses from my perspective, what I have seen in the roadmap, they are coming in 2019 and 2020. So to have a 24mm 2470 for example, or to have a 1445 2.8. So these are the interesting lenses for me, or maybe also 24mm 1.8, which will come in 2020. So 50mm will come in 2020. So this is too far away from my point of view. Well, let's look at Sony compared to that. Sony has now a great lens setup for their A7R III and all these A7 cameras that are out there. So this was also the issue and the pain point for many years. So Sony had the same problem. So and Nikon is going now into the same situation. There are not enough lenses there in the program currently. So therefore, a crucial success factor for Nikon is now that the new adapter works pretty well with the F-mount lenses. And I'm not talking only about the Nikon lenses, I'm also talking about Tamron, Sigma and all the other third-party providers. There are a lot of people out there who have also for budget reasons Sigma, Tamron and other lenses here. If the adapter works great, this is a very crucial factor for the success of the camera. If the adapter works well, the IBIS could be used with all the F-mount lenses that are out there. And there I'm talking about hundreds of lenses which are really great and which could be used for photography and of course for filming together with the IBIS. So let's talk a little bit about video. So 4K and 30 FPS is not enough to fight Sony and all the other video expert cameras out there. So this is good, no doubt about it. It will be a good video camera. But I think Nikon missed the chance to really differentiate themselves from the competition here, and they missed this opportunity. Looking at the price, well, it is pricey to be honest, and if you have to change all your lenses in the future, it will be even pricey more. So looking at the D850, now you can get the D850 in the trade-in promotion, so you get it cheaper and you can use your existing lens setup, and this makes it more attractive price-wise, and you have still a very great camera. So now let's come to the positive sides. So first of all, of course, the IBIS. So it's really great to have now an in-body stabilization from Nikon. We have waited so many years for that. You know, the competition, Sony, Panasonic, and Fuji and so on, they all have it in their cameras already and they have experiences with that for years now. So the big question will be, how does it work? So it's just an impression now which I got from the specs. I didn't have the camera in my hands, so we have to wait and see how the IBIS works. Next point is the Z mount. With the Z mount now complete new lens designs are possible, and this is really great because the lenses will be smaller, not that big anymore. So if I look to my 14-25 2.8 here, it's really great lens, but it's heavy, it's big. And look at the 24-70 2.8 with the VR, it's even bigger. So this will be a great factor for the attractiveness of the new lenses. And Nikon mentioned, of course, they announced the 58mm 0.95, so knocked lens, and this will be really great fun to shoot with this lens. I'm personally looking very much forward to it. So now let's talk about the body. Well, the body looks like a Nikon body. Look at this D850 body. It's great in the hands. It's great if you go outside, if you go shooting. It's really, you see, I even sometimes don't use the strap because it's so easy in my hands. And this is also what I have seen from the picture for the Z6 and Z7. It also looks the same design, and I'm very optimistic that it will be great in my hands. I'm very much looking forward to have it really in my hands. And with the body, I also personally think what I have seen, it's not too small and it's not too big. And this is what I think is perfect for a mirrorless camera. So quality and weather sealing. Well, I personally believe that this will be great in this camera. Nikon has many experiences with that, and looking at the D850, if it has the same sealing and the same quality, it will be really a great camera. I'm shooting landscape, I'm often outside, I'm in the rain, in the fog, in the snow, and it's really great to have this quality here in the Nikon cameras. And this will be also a crucial factor. This will be better, I believe, than in the Sony A7R III, which doesn't even have a real weather sealing. Well, we get an electronic viewfinder. This is really outstanding. And we have waited so long for that, Nikon, so it's really great to have that. Especially for filming, if I take the D850 and I want to film, I always have to look into the display, which is a problem on sunny days. With an electronic viewfinder, you won't have this problem anymore. But also for photography, if you really want to nail the exposure and if you want to be sure that you have the right exposure, an EVF is great. What is also great to have a USB-C connection with the camera. And this is also great for me. I'm traveling a lot. And now I can take my USB charger, which I use for my smartphones and so on, and I can charge also the camera with it. This is really great, Nikon. Thanks a lot. Next, we get 4K Mbit video. So this is great to have this signal, but you get it only with external recording. So then the camera will have an OLED display on the top. So it's not a simple LCD display, it's going to be an OLED display looking similar to the one of the X-H1, which is great. So now we come to the open points, so it's very difficult to evaluate them now because we haven't had the cameras in our hands, and I personally didn't have the opportunity to really shoot and work with the camera. So let's talk about the sensor. Well, Nikon announced that the sensor will be even better than the great sensor of the D850. So if this is the case, it will be really an issue for Sony. However, we have to see what the results look like, and at the end it will be maybe little differences compared to the D850 and compared to the A7R III. Well, another open point is, of course, as mentioned before, the adapter for the F-mount. Will it work or not? What about the autofocus? So that's very crucial for me. Let's talk about the battery, another point that has been discussed intensively on the web. Well, it's great firsthand to have the existing batteries that can be used also in the Z6 and Z7. However, it is a system camera and not a DSLR, so it needs much more power. I don't want to speculate about that if it is 300 clicks or 600 clicks. I think I have to wait. You also have to take into consideration the weather conditions in winter, etc. I'm a landscape photographer, so I have to wait and I have to test it on my own. So now let's come to the conclusion. Well, it is a first step into the right direction as mentioned before, and I think Nikon is on its way. However, I will not buy at the moment the Z6 or the Z7. With the D850 I have already great features, similar features than in the Z7, and I have them already now. I can use my f-mount lenses and I can do this for a lower price. Well, the D850 is also a great video camera. Of course, it does not have a IBIS, but I use also the VR lenses and I use manual focusing, and the D850 has a great video quality, it has a great codec, so it's also a great video camera. So I stay for the moment with my existing setup, which is first the D850, which I use for landscape photography and also a little bit for video. It has a great 45 megapixel sensor and it's really outstanding for landscape photography. Secondly, I use the Fuji X-T2 as my compact travel camera, which I use for city trips or for vacation with the family, and I use it for photo and for video. It's perfect for video. It has an internal f-log, it has 120 fps at 1080, so this is also a great video camera. Of course, the Fuji X-T2 only has APS-C, but on the other hand, this is perfect as a compact camera. It's smaller, also the lenses are smaller, so this is a great combination for me to have a big camera, perfect for landscape photography, and if you want a huge pictures on your camera on your screen, if you want to make printouts of that, so this is perfect for that, and the X-T2 for urban, family-oriented travel cam and video cam. So, is the Z7 or the Z6 now the ultimate Sony killer? No, it's not. Sony is now too far ahead for Nikon. They have gathered a lot of experiences in the last years. They have set up the lenses, the lens program, which is really great. It's a great photo and video camera, and Nikon has to really speed up to get in this area. So what should Nikon do to get ahead of Sony again? Well, first of all, to bring out their lens program quickly for the Z mount. That's very important. Well, another thing is, of course, to focus on the qualities of Nikon. And this is weather sealing, this is body design, this is the quality of the camera. So if they focus on that, this will be a big benefit compared to Sony. On top of that, which I like very much about my Fuji X-T2 is Fujifilm brings out updates, I think almost every 3 months, which is really great, and you get new features, you get an optimized autofocus, you get 120 fps and internal f-log just as an update, as a software update in the firmware for the camera, and this almost 2 years after the launch of the camera. And this is really customer centric. Fujifilm listens to the customers. I had a D75 before the D850, and in 4 years Nikon, I got one update in 4 years, so this is ridiculous. So please, Nikon, change here your agile work, move on to an agile work, customer centric, bring up new updates every second or every third month. You could also raise the FPS. I'm really sure that the camera is capable for that. So please go into this new agile work, bring up customer-centric new features. So thank you very much. That's it for now. So it's just a first impression of the Z7 and Z6. I hadn't had the camera in my hands. We have to wait for that. It's my personal opinion. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I own a D850. I can compare it to the D850 at the moment. I also know the Sony A7R III a little bit. So I have a little bit of feeling about the cameras now, but of course I have to wait until I have the camera in my hands. So what is your opinion about the new Z6 and Z7? What about the XQD card and the missing SD card slot, the missing dual card slot? Is it an issue for you or not? So please leave me your opinion in the comments. I'm very curious about that. And finally, if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. This would make me very happy. And please also follow my channel. I have other great videos on my channel. I'm just starting with the channel, so there will be coming up more videos in the future. So thank you very much. Have a great day. See you next time. Bye.